Hey everyone, welcome to the Promethean Tides. I'm General. As always, I'm joined by Breaker. What's going on, Breaker?
There's so many documents they found at Mar-a-Lago. When I was president, I guarantee you, I declassified every single one of those documents. They're not even classified documents. This is a political hit job. This is pure Banana Republic nonsense. Believe me, I know Banana Republic nonsense when I see it. I've dealt with a lot of Banana Republics. They're great people. They're terrific people. They're wonderful people. I know a Banana Republic when I see one. I used to buy coffee from them all the time. They're great people. But this is a Banana Republic shenanigans by the Biden administration. They're out to get me. They're out to get you, but I'm standing in their way. You see, I think you're all wonderful people. You're just so terrific. Believe me.
Yes, absolutely. So, uh, we did the midweek show that actually went up earlier today. We're recording this on Saturday, and we chose not to address some of the big news that had happened this week because we wanted to save it for tonight and wait for some of the dust to settle. And, tonight is that night. So we have two major stories from this week. The first is, of course, the FBI raid on Trump's house, the Mar-a-Lago estate, and we also have the Inflation Reduction Act being passed. In my opinion, I'm not a big fan of the Inflation Reduction Act. I think that it has maybe a couple good things in it, but it's mostly bullshit and bureaucratic nonsense. So we'll get into that. But we will start out with the raid on Trump's house. So I was doing a little bit of research into this, and it turns out that this is a thing that's been happening for a while. Back in May of 2021, so more than a year ago, the National Archives and Records Administration, called NARA, they contacted Trump's people regarding some missing documents. So I guess they had noticed that perhaps some documents were missing from the White House, and they wanted to get them back. So later, about a month later, in January, no, sorry, not a month later, this would have been 9 months later. 9 months later, January 2022, NARA came, the National Archives and Records Administration. They came and they removed 15 boxes of documents and some other random bullshit from the Mar-a-Lago house. I am assuming that Trump's attorneys handed them over. From what I can tell, it doesn't seem as though there was anything particularly important in the 15 boxes of random shit that was handed over to them. But, they collected them. So that was January 2022. Now, in April of 2022, the DOJ decided to open up a formal criminal investigation because I guess that they thought that Trump might have more documents, and specifically some spooky classified documents. So that was April 2022. Now, June 3rd, we're getting more recent. The DOJ and the FBI, they meet with Trump's attorneys, and they subpoenaed some more documents. Again, it doesn't seem as though they really got their hands on really anything that important or interesting. I think that there might have been a couple of classified documents in there. And I guess that from perhaps a certain perspective, this gives them probable cause to then say, well, if he handed us over some classified documents, then, well, he might have more. So 5 days later, on June 8th, they told Trump to get a better padlock. I can only assume that I don't know the exact reason, but I can only assume that they might have done that because they weren't in a position to maybe get the documents out at that point, but they wanted them to be secure in case anyone else tried to get the documents. So they were like, shit, our hands are kind of tied, just get a better padlock, I guess. And then August 5th, so this is very, very recent, Bruce Reinhardt, the federal magistrate judge of the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida, and this is the guy that the news has been talking about, how he had some connections with the Epstein case. This is that guy, Bruce Reinhardt. He approved the warrant for the FBI. That's on August 5th. And then on August 8th, the FBI agents executed the search warrant, and they raided the Mar-a-Lago house, which, by the way, is in Palm Beach, Florida. I didn't know that. So, they were there from 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., so they were there for about 9.5 hours. They seized 26 boxes, and apparently, from what they say, they got 11 sets of supposedly classified materials. We don't really have a way of knowing because, I mean, it's not like they can show them to us. And I guess some of these were related to, from what they could tell us, some of these were related to his pardoning of Roger Stone. Some others were related to Emmanuel Macron, the president of France. None of those are probably that big of a deal, I would guess. The fact that we were told what they were tells me that those are not at all a big deal. So yeah, that was the events that led up to the raid. This is something that has been going on for maybe like 15 months or so, beginning with the National Archives and Records Administration trying to track down some documents that they believed that they lost from the White House, all the way to the FBI conducting a raid on Trump's house. So, yeah, that is the story. What do you think of this story so far, Breaker?
Okay, the impression I get from this, and I'm going to be really straight with you about this, I guarantee you, I don't know this for a fact, but I guarantee if you look back in history at Obama, Bush, Clinton, the other Bush, Reagan, go back to like all the freaking presidents, especially like the 20th and 21st century presidents, especially. I would say that after a president's term ends, this is a really commonplace thing to happen. Like, I guarantee you Trump isn't the first president to take stuff back to his like mansion on his golf trips and his quasi-vacations, and to go back to his mansion when he's done with the golf with the boys and look over the stuff. And then at the end of the presidency, it's okay, the National Archives people come to all of these presidents and say, it's like, okay, you have a bunch of papers that we're going to need back. I guarantee you this is so commonplace that it never gets brought up. And the only reason it's brought up this time is because it's Trump. Because think about it. Do you think that Trump personally, like, was carrying around all these documents like frickin' Death Stranding backpack style? You think that was what was happening, or do you think he handed all of this? You think he handed all this stuff off to like a veritable legion of clerks and interns and lawyers and all kinds of other people, and he just said, "I'll look at this at 5 o'clock. Put it on my desk." Like, there's like legions of other people that are involved with the moving around with these papers that would eventually find themselves in filing cabinets and desks, and sometimes the paper would just leave Trump's hand, go through like 30 different clerks and understudies and interns and lawyers, end up in a filing cabinet somewhere, and then he'd just go back to his desk and say, I'm going to need that file that you put in the filing cabinet, Mildred. Mildred is such a wonderful girl. She's such a great intern. She's really going places, believe me. And then Mildred would just go back to the freaking filing cabinet and bring it to him, and then he'd look at it for like 5 minutes and say, this is bullshit, I'm not signing it, and then he'd throw it in the like done pile, and then Mildred at the end of the fucking day would come to the done pile that's like a mile high of shit that he just refused to interact with or did shit with and shove it back in the filing cabinet. Like, Trump rarely ever touched this stuff in actuality. The same with all the other freaking presidents. So is it any wonder at the end of the term, none of these presidents remember with like hyper laser focus all the fucking papers of official documents that they had in their time between the White House and their various vacation zones and their meetings with foreign dignitaries and all of this hustle and bustle schedule that they got. Some emergent conglomeration of all the understudies and paper handlers and intermediaries and middlemen and women of all different various kinds. If you got all of them in the room together, they probably wouldn't be able to directly piece it out either. But the one thing that they do have is, like, in all these locations, they're surrounded by a veritable fortress of Secret Service agents. So no shit that's not supposed to leave there is going to leave there, and nothing that's not supposed to get in is going to get in the vast majority of the time. So it's like, in this general area, we have a fairly confident gauge that we need to go back here where this president was known to take all these golf trips. You know, the kind that he was constantly on the news having fucking golf trips, like Trump and Bush and Obama and Clinton and fucking all of them. They all did things like this. It's like, hey, now that you're not president anymore, you know that filing cabinet that you told Mildred or Monica Lewinsky or whoever the fucking intern was to put the files in that thing? We need that whole filing cabinet back. And they're like, sure. And do you think that it's just one trip and they get all of that back? They have to read all that shit out of the fucking filing cabinet, file all that shit away. It's like, okay, we're missing this, this, and this. And then a bunch of people at the government have to be like, okay, we are indeed missing that, and that, but we've got that other piece of that, but we did the second page of that. And then the people go back and say, okay, we thought we got everything the first time. You knew this was going to happen because this is a very complicated business. It's very intricate. Now we're going to need more stuff. And the only reason this is happening in this way with the FBI and everything is just for fucking political brownie points of the Biden administration. If it wasn't Trump versus Biden and all of this fucking hullabaloo and bullshit over Orange Man Bad, this would have just been another visit from the archive people just to get more fucking papers. But it would have been another day in the life of the archive people having to drag all the fucking papers back from the president's, like, private residence.
So I suspect that you're mostly right. I've never heard about other presidents, I guess, having classified documents at their house, but then again,
I think Obama was just playing golf in his Hawaii house.
No.
You think that's all he was doing?
No, I agree with you. I think that the only reason why we're hearing about this at all is because it's Trump. I would guess that that probably has something to do with it. I don't know. I don't know if anyone knows, but I would guess that Obama probably took home some classified documents. I would guess that. And
then the archive people from the White House politely went to Obama's house and said, hey, we know you got some stuff for when you're president. It's probably in a filing cabinet in the back somewhere. It's nothing really to worry about, but can you have one of your, like, interns drag that filing cabinet down the stairs with, like, the Hannibal Lecter frickin' dolly jack that climbs upstairs and shit? Remember for the Hannibal Lecter movie where he's wheeling that guy up the stairs
right.
with that pallet, that jacket had 3 wheels that rotated? Yeah, we need you to get Monica Lewinsky to get off her sorry ass, put on a clean dress, and get that fucking filing cabinet.
Well, right. I mean, the thing is that, like, I'm willing to bet that perhaps Trump was not the most meticulous of organizers when it came to his paperwork. I don't
have any idea how hectic and stressful being the president of the United States is. I guarantee you none of them fucking were. They all had shit laying around in filing cabinets. Oh, I forgot I had Mildred put that in the filing cabinet in 1992. Oh, my mistake. It's probably upstairs next to the fucking Ming vase or whatever.
Right, and even outside of the fact that this is the presidency, it's incredibly hectic. I mean, also it's Trump we're talking about. He doesn't seem like the meticulous paper organizer type of guy to me. So I'm sure that he just has boxes upon boxes of random documents, probably not that well sorted, probably not organized by date or by category or by what they relate to, just kind of maybe stuffed in boxes. That would be my guess. And yeah, he was probably like, yo, a lot of this is just like shit for me. What are you trying to look for? Like, what do you want all of the documents that I have in my entire house? What the fuck are you looking for? And yeah, it does seem to me like there is a strong chance that this is the weaponization of the FBI and the DOJ, because Trump is dangerous, and we just have to get rid of him, no matter what.
Yeah, Trump is Orange Hitler, and Obama was Magic Black Man. So, is it any wonder they're treated differently in matters like this? If for all we know, Obama had more papers scattered around. You remember all those drone strikes on American citizens that he fucking did? I imagine he had one or two papers laying around about that the archive people just politely asked back for. And those papers, I guarantee, if those had fucking got out to anyone else's hands, that would have been a national fucking scandal. Oh, it's almost as though it was. What was the name of the man that you can't technically mention on YouTube? It slipped my mind.
Oh boy.
But he was instrumental in releasing a lot of that. You could find it online if you look. I'm not naming names.
So, I think that the FBI they've put up I think a fairly almost reasonable argument. They're saying, hey, Trump, he had classified and potentially even top secret documents, according to the FBI. Of course, it is literally impossible to verify this, because if they were top secret and classified, they couldn't show them to the American public. So
yeah,
there's zero way to verify any of this. But
and you know what else? The president of the United States, while they're the acting president, has like unilateral power to classify and declassify anything they see fit, just with words.
Yeah,
they could just talk about a classified thing out loud, and while they're president, it's just de facto declassified just by them talking about it openly.
So yeah, but the FBI they make a sort of a reasonable argument, and they say, look, he's holding classified documents. If you trust what CNN has to say about it, or MSNBC, apparently these were the documents that had the nuclear codes on them or something. I doubt that. That seems like insanity to me.
Let's say even if it was, the nuclear codes are changed between every presidency. So even if the actual nuclear codes were like under some random intern's coffee cup on floor 3 of Mar-a-Lago, it wouldn't fucking matter. Yeah.
But yeah. So the argument from the FBI is basically, he had classified documents. We have to treat him like anyone else, and so if he was in possession of these classified documents at his home, and potentially they were in danger, he could have maybe tried to destroy them or leak them, or who knows what happens, then they have to go after them. It just makes sense. He's not above the law. Now, see, that's an argument from the FBI, and on paper, it actually does make some sense. But then,
you know what actually makes more sense? Coulda, shoulda, woulda don't mean shit. It's like, where's the evidence that he was hazardous with classified material? Oh, you mean the guy that's constantly surrounded by elite bodyguards, both publicly and privately funded? Do you think random shit is just flying out the window?
But here's the thing, right? That makes sense within that context. But then think about the larger context. When it comes, I mean, I don't want this to sound like whataboutism. I'm just saying that there appears to be a double standard when it came to Hillary Clinton and her storing like a fucking million emails on a private server at her house that was not protected by the Secret Service, which she then just kind of got rid of and never returned to the National Archives because she
I bet her fucking password. I bet her fucking password wasn't even hashed and salted. It was something really stupid like password 1 or Monica's dirty dress or some weird shit like that.
Right, of course. But you when this came out, this was right before the 2016 elections. This would have been in 2015. Her emails were like a big fucking thing. A lot of people were talking about them. And what did the FBI do? They said, although what she did is illegal, the thing is that we can't prosecute her because it would be damaging for the American democracy. She's running, and we can't have the FBI going after someone who is running for president. You can't have that. It would just look bad. And so, although what she did was like pretty bad, we're not going to do anything about it because she's running for president, and that it's not the purpose of the FBI to get entangled in the democratic process. Which is weird because although Trump has not officially announced, everyone knows that he's running. Everyone knows that he is the guy who is going to be going up against Joe Biden, and the FBI decided to just do this. So it does appear that they, for whatever reason, I have no idea, but they do seem to be treating Trump differently than Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton did something that appears to be just objectively worse, and they went, forget about that, guys. We'll let that one go. It's weird. That's a weird thing. It's a little bit fishy.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's almost as though it's like I said before, this would have just been, with anyone else, this would have just been a normal thing of like some random government pencil pushers, probably that don't even have fucking guns, would just like take a taxpayer-funded flight down to frickin' Florida, politely knock on the door, and be like, "Hey, we looked over our records, and there's some discrepancies. You probably still have some stuff from when you were president. It's probably in a filing cabinet somewhere. It's like, it's not a big deal, but could you just like get that to us by Friday?" That's what this would have been if it wasn't Biden trying to score political points before the fucking midterms.
Right, and by the way, just so that we pointed this out previously, but just so everyone understands this was in his Mar-a-Lago estate that is protected by 24/7 fucking every day of the week, round the clock Secret Service division, right? When the FBI showed up,
private bodyguards and more security cameras than a fucking Vegas casino.
Right. When the FBI showed up, the Secret Service was there, and they complied with the FBI. They did not aid them, but they said, "Okay, well, we will sit here and watch you do this, I guess." And
they also said, turn off all the security cameras and sit in the corner and turn around. Like, we're going to do like a magic trick, but we need you to turn around and shut your eyes and count to 20 really loud so you can't hear us.
I don't know why it is that the attorneys were not able to go in there with the FBI. They said to turn off the cameras. Why? I'm not a legal scholar. Maybe there's some sort of a legal reason that they don't want the attorneys to watch them do the raid. They don't want security cameras to film them doing the raid. Maybe there's some very specific law that I don't know about that means that they had to conduct the raid in that fashion. But
People are allowed to film public servants in the course of their duties under any context, anywhere, especially on fucking private property. You can
Right.
record a freaking cop on a public highway during a traffic stop with your cell phone, and they legally can't stop you. And if they do, that's a major fucking felony.
Right. So, if there is such a weird law that is specific to, I mean, maybe it's one of those things where it's like because they're specifically looking for classified documents, no one is allowed to watch them look for classified documents because then they might see the classified documents. Like, I have no idea. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the justification. Seems like a bunch of bullshit to me. Especially given.
Wait, I'll tell you a funny story about that. Now, this is going to sound kind of weird when I put it like this, but do you remember Roswell, New Mexico?
The alien shit.
Yeah, it's a funny thing about that because there's this famous photograph of one of the government agents from Area 51. He's crouching next to this like foil that's part of a quote unquote weather balloon, and he has like a folded piece of paper in his hand, and you can see the text on it, but at that time, like photo enhancement technology wasn't robust enough to actually tell what was on that. But years later, with advanced algorithms and photo enhancement, people were actually able to zoom in on that random piece of paper in this guy's hand and actually make out the text that was written on it. So yeah, technically security cameras, like high-def security cameras at a place like this, they're probably recording in 4K and shit, could very easily zoom in on just a random piece of paper in a transparent tote. Like that famous news picture of all the FBI with all those transparent totes out on the fucking front lawn of Mar-a-Lago that you could just zoom in on and read shit on them. They didn't even fucking blur it.
Yeah. So, this has all of this has resulted in a very interesting, let's say, political kerfuffle here in the good old U.S. of A. Look. You have two sides of this story. You have the FBI and the DOJ saying that look, everything that they did was totally above board. It's just they're just doing their jobs. That's it. That's just their jobs. Nothing political. Nothing at all. And then
all government institutions are political bodies by nature. Don't believe any of that non-politicized shit. There is no such thing as a totally discontiguous public body that is not beholden to the realpolitik of this modern zeitgeist. That never has existed ever with any government institution going back to the fucking first civilization in fucking Solon.
Yeah, no one is truly unbiased. And in fact, the people who spend the most time claiming that they're fair and balanced and completely unbiased are usually the fucking worst. But,
you know, when the news says shit like that, you know who that's for? That's for fucking boomers who still cling to this idea of, like, legitimate truth and honesty made manifest in the universe with a metaphysical substrate, like some type of divine author of truth, reason, and logos. That's what that type of language is actually for. All of us, like more modern people, the fucking millennials and Gen Z especially, know that, like, the internet generation knows that the vast majority of shit you see on the internet, for example, is probably bullshit or manipulated somehow. Like, everyone innately knows this in this modern day and age. The boomers are the one who still think, for whatever fucking archaic reason, that the truth really matters.
Well, look, Breaker, if it comes out of the mouth of Walter Cronkite, it must be true. Everyone knows that.
Like Walter Concrete, because his words are like concretized truth, straight from the divine mouth of God in the seat of logos of creation. Like, oh yes, the beneficent and all-knowing Walter Cronkite, paragon of truth and honesty. Yes.
Nice. So yeah, the FBI, they're like, hey, you know what? It's all above board. The Trump is saying that this is a witch hunt. In fact, he came out today. I guess he posted on Truth Social in regards to this. He says, "Does anyone really believe?" Because I guess the White House, they came out and they said They had no idea that this was going on, and Trump just said, "Does anyone really believe that the White House didn't know about this witch hunt?" And from a certain perspective, I think that Trump may have some merit there. You know, if you think about what he said, I think it was like 2 months ago, he came out and he was like, "Yo, I want to put a whole bunch of these unelected bureaucrats who are in a permanent position in all of these different government agencies. I want to make them into Schedule F employees." This is something that he actually kind of set up in his first administration. He kind of created the Schedule F, and it's to denote someone that's a political appointee. So what he wanted to do was he wanted to turn a whole bunch of lifetime unelected bureaucrats into political appointees, so that
Drain the swamp, people. You're gonna love it. There's gonna be so much swamp drainage. You're not gonna be able to breathe because the swamp gas coming off. You're gonna have to put on a gas mask because it's really gonna stink when the swamp starts to drain people. Believe me.
now a couple months ago, Trump said that when he was elected, he would be basically firing a shit ton of people at the FBI.
You're fired.
And then you start to think, is it at all possible that when Trump says, "I want to fire a whole bunch of people at the FBI," that maybe the FBI might have an incentive to go after Trump, and it may not just be about justice. It might be, I don't know, self-preservation. I'm just speculating here. We don't know.
Yeah, and he technically did set up. We've talked about this before, but he technically set up all the machinery at the end of his first term to be able to do this in the second term, but he didn't want to upset the political apple cart too much and throw off like the independents and undecided voters too much. So he just set up the machinery kind of quasi-quietly in the background, and because of his fucking massive ego, he thought, the people love me, I'm definitely gonna win, I've got all the support, so many people's at my rallies, I can't even count the number of people at my rallies, they're so terrific, they're all wonderful people, believe me, they're all gonna vote for me, I'm gonna win, it's gonna be the best second term you've ever seen, you're gonna win even more, that you're not only gonna get tired of winning, but you're going to wish that the very concept of winning was inverted into losing, so just so you could feel lost once. You don't want to keep winning the same game over and over. It just becomes boring. You're gonna pray to lose.
No,
just like me.
Yeah. No, there's an episode of the Twilight Zone. I forget the name of it, but this like gangster guy. He dies and he ends up in the afterlife, and he wakes up and he's in this super fucking nice hotel. And
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, and this I'll just explain it for anyone that doesn't know it. And this supposed angel appears, and the angel goes, "All right, this is the afterlife. What do you want to do?" And he goes, "Wait, I can just have anything." And the angel guy is like, "Yeah, you can have anything. You want a car?" He's like, "Yeah, I want a car." Boom, he gets a car. He's like, "Hey, you want money?" "Yeah, I want money." Boom, he gets money. They go to the casino, and he starts gambling. And he wins every single fucking round of blackjack or whatever game that he was playing. And he does this for like, I don't know, a year. I have no idea. But he does it for a while. But then he starts to get bored. He's like, wait a minute. Every time that I go to the casino, I win literally every single game. This is starting to get kind of boring. So he goes to the angel. He's like, this isn't like fun, actually. Like, this is kind of boring. I'm getting sick of winning. And then, it's revealed, actually, that this isn't heaven, this is hell. And in fact, the issue with hell is that it's just excruciatingly boring, because you just keep winning all the time, and there's nothing challenging, and there's no significant event, and that's what makes hell suck. A very, very interesting episode of The Twilight Zone. That is to say, I think that's what the American people realized was happening. Trump was making things too good. The economy was too good. They were getting bored. They were like, holy shit, this is hell. We need suffering. And just like the Twilight Zone episode, they realized the ethical lesson from that, and they voted Biden. But I think that when also I want to point out, yes, you're right, Breaker. Trump did have too big of an ego, because he was only the second most popular president of all time, right? Because in the 2020 election, he got more votes than any other president ever in history, except for the most popular president of all time, and that is Joseph R. Biden, the most popular president of all time. No one has ever gotten as many votes as him. It's crazy how many people really love Biden. I mean, there's so much just grassroots support for him.
Come on, man, America, you're gonna be riding with Biden. I'm gonna take every corn pop and every 12-year-old child, but behind the woodshed, and I'm gonna teach them all a lesson.
Let's go Brandon, man. Fucking let's go Brandon. Yeah, so all of this has happened. Now a lot of Republicans, they have come out and they have said that this seems perhaps a little bit shady. Even Mike Pence, I wrote this quote down. Mike Pence said, "No former president of the United States has ever been subject to a raid of their personal residence in American history." So there was that. Overall, many Republicans are vowing to investigate the DOJ and the FBI should they win in the midterm. Of course, we don't know if they will win. We have no idea how.
No, here's what's really going to happen. They're all going to say that, but then when they get an actual power, they're going to be like, okay, the Rubicon has been crossed and the president's already said, so now every time going forward, this has just become normal, commonplace that every ex-president is just going to get raided all the fucking time until this downward spirals inevitably into full Banana Republic mode and complete illegitimacy.
Well, we'll see if they end up impeaching Biden.
Left or right isn't going to matter, by the way, just so you know.
Perhaps not, but we will see if the Republicans end up impeaching Biden, because the thing is that even right now, in as crazy as things are getting, I only give the Republicans like maybe a 50% chance of impeaching Biden, even though I think that they have way better evidence for gross misdemeanors, or whatever the bar is for impeachment. Even though I think that Biden is 1,000 times more impeachable than Trump ever was for either of Trump's impeachments. I don't know. The Republicans, they like to not rock the boat too much. They're not a huge fan of impeachment, and I really wonder if they will impeach Joe Biden. We shall see.
Yeah, they like to talk a big game and do a lot of moralizing and like ethical rabble rousing about all of the rules and the truth. And remember boomers, remember Jeebus, remember metaphysical logos, remember all the absolute truth and virtue and all these wonderful things.
Yeah,
they like to talk about that very loudly.
Yeah. Yeah, they ate the member berries, but I'm not sure if they'll actually do anything. You know what? If they did, I would be very pleasantly surprised. I think that I don't think that it's a great idea to just start a culture of just impeaching every single president, because that's what you do. But I do actually think that perhaps Joe Biden ought be impeached. I think that there should be investigations, especially in regards to some of his Ukraine dealings. Also, potentially some of his dealings with China. So,
Yeah.
I personally speaking, I think it would be worthwhile. But, yeah.
To close out this particular political part of the show, I'm gonna say something. The reason why everything is moving so fast right now, in my opinion, is this is the last chance for the globalist to finally get the crowbar in to full globo homo. Because the boomers need to still be alive. There needs to be enough
useful idiot voter classes that they can dangle the frickin' Snickers bar of my Jeebus and my absolute truth and my virtue and my morals and stuff in front of. Because by the time the frickin' boomers all age out or die out at the end of this, then it's going to be Gen X. And Gen X is notoriously much less trustworthy of the establishment and the government from the left and the right angles of Gen X. So they're going to have a harder and harder time. By the time it gets to where it's all millennials that they have to pander to, millennials that grew up in the internet age where everything is a fucking troll, everything is layered in 13 layers of irony, there's not going to be any moralistic keys left to jingle in front of those faces because they're just not going to believe you anymore. And that's when you'll see actual truth and virtue necessarily have to reemerge in the government because they know that no one will buy the bullshit anymore.
Well, actually, it's interesting that you say that because perhaps that's why it seems more and more that the deep state is moving left, right? It's weird. Like, why is it that the deep state is I don't know, in favor of aborting your trans children? I maybe it's because basically like 90% of the boomers were very susceptible to propaganda. Like, you could just lie to their faces and they would just eat it up because that's what they knew. But
yeah, like frickin' kids' cartoons and commercials, like back in the fucking Cold War days, like virtually everything was propaganda.
Only like half of the millennials are actually susceptible to this. You have like the super lefty, blue-haired, fucking trans kid promoting ones, and they'll just eat up whatever the media says as long as the media concludes the sentence with Black Lives Matter and abortion rights are important.
Well, here's the thing about them. Actually, they don't actually have virtues and values. They're just pure power pragmatists because they're at such a rarefied level of collectivism. The lefty, like Gen Xers, that they're gonna go with the flow and what's trendy and popular and in the most amount of power to get them the most out of it. They're a lot more pragmatic in a weird way. And they look around and they see like the left is in power, so naturally they're just going to parrot all the left-wing shit and dye their hair blue. And I guarantee you if the right were in power, they would all have fashy haircuts and patent leather boots and very specific uniforms. And they would all be waving around a different number of signs with very different slogans on them, and it would be the same shit but with the opposite side of the coin flavor.
No, I think that what has happened is basically when it comes to the boomers, left or right, they would eat up the government propaganda. When it comes to maybe like the millennials or the Gen X, the left will still eat up the government propaganda, but the right has rejected it. And so the deep state, or whatever you want to call them, they're like, oh shit, okay, we can only reach half of the populace now. This is getting a little bit dangerous. We got to go full lefty. And so now you see a very tight marriage, an incestuous relationship, if you will, between the super lefty communist ideology and the deep state CIA bullshit. Whereas, like, I remember back in like the 2000s during the Bush administration, if you had gone up to someone on the left then and said, hey, did you know that in about 15 years, the left will be actively sucking the cock of the CIA and trust them more than anyone because they just love the government? The people on the left then would say, oh my god, that's absurd. That's completely absurd. We don't trust the government. The government is who got us into the war in Iraq. We hate those guys. Fuck that shit. How could the left ever possibly end up trusting the CIA? Well, it happened. So I don't know. Maybe I think that's what's actually occurring.
I think the propaganda necessarily has to take on more rarefied flavors over time. And this is kind of like the whole concept of the Promethean tides, like we've been talking about.
That's the name of the show.
That's the name of the show. When the tide rolls back in and the Logos
is now dominant again. Right now, you're seeing like a whole bunch of divergent mythologies competing for dominance. This is like a Cambrian explosion of ideology that's happening right now. When all the dust settles, whatever ideology, whichever cream rises to the top, oh yeah, the cream always rises to the top, Macho Man, Randy Savage. That's inevitably coming down the pipe, so whatever cream flows back in from the tide, that's going to be the solidification. Now, it may be a left-wing version, it may be a right-wing version. It's probably going to be a right-wing version the way it's going right now, because this fucking pendulum is getting ready to crack and flow back in a major fucking way.
Well,
so get ready for more D&D censoring, proselytizing, but this time it's not going to be like boomer Christians. It's going to be all of the weird conspiracy people from the internet and flat earthers and holographic world and vaporwave people. Vaporwave. It's going to be those people, the meta-modernist right.
Well, it could be. It very well could be. Now, that of course that would make us ascendant, because here at the Promethean Tides we believe that not only is the Earth flat, but also it is just thick enough that there is a habitable zone underground where the lizard people live, and they control the government. Also, we had never landed on the moon because it is actually just it's a big light bulb in the sky. So it's a joke. It's a joke, but yeah, so I wanted to...
I thought the moon was a hollow egg from a trans-dimensional, 12-dimensional being that's going through its multi-universal life scale, and that whenever it hatches, it will hatch into a massive freaking fractal, multi-dimensional blood moth that will consume the souls of the damned. I thought that was the theory we're going with.
Wait. So if it's trans-dimensional, it's like it's confused about its dimensional identity. It's like, on Wednesdays I feel like I'm 7-dimensional, but on Thursdays I feel like I'm only 4-dimensional.
And hopefully it'll be in such a high and rarefied dimension that when it reaches the Earth, it will just phase clean through with little to no ill effects, aside from like a random grandmother in Nantucket spilling her boiling water onto the floor, which then spontaneously turns into a flower bed. Hopefully that's all the anomalies that we see.
It's like some Terry Pratchett fiction right there. Very interesting. But so I just wanted to cover just a couple other details about the story before we move on. So number one, my feeling about all of this classified nonsense is that, and people have talked about this before, and I just want to bring it back up and insert it into the conversation. The United States, it has a practice of basically classifying everything. There's now I've never worked in the CIA. I've never laid my eyes on classified documents. I've seen plenty of documents that I've had to sign, like shit. What do you call those things? NDA.
An
NDA, yeah, something akin to an NDA on. Like, okay, I see this. There's actually nothing that exciting in it. This is related to like science.
Well, in the private sector, like NDA stuff, it is like some like quasi-government contracted that you may or may not have been involved with. No doxing, but that type of stuff is usually much lighter than actual like classified for national security reasons shit. Like, if you're in a position to know that this is like national security classified, and you're in a position, except if you're the president, because like I said before, you have unilateral power to declassify anything just by bringing it up at a random press conference. You could just say, like, yep, there's aliens in Area 51. And you can just say that out loud as the president, as like, well, I guess there's aliens in Area 51. Well, who knew? And there's no ill effects from that.
Right. But my point is that, look, I've never seen any classified documents, but what I've heard from some people who have and then exited that industry is that the United States, they just have this glut of classified documents. Shit that doesn't have to be classified. It becomes classified.
It has to be classified. I'll tell you why it has to be classified is because the U.S. government lies to so many people and other governments so very fucking often that they just need to blanket classify everything to make sure that one of the strands of their massively over-convoluted and bloated web of lies doesn't immediately evaporate when some like child saying the emperor has no clothes pulls on like the low-hanging thread and the whole thing falls apart. It's like, hey, the emperor's naked. That's why everything needs to be classified. It's because of fucking corruption.
Well, right. I mean, that's definitely part of it. I think that also it's just that it's kind of a cover your ass sort of thing. It's like, okay, if you're in charge of deciding if this thing needs to be classified or not, well, I mean, you don't know the entire picture. You don't know the whole story. If it turns out that this document actually does contain some information that might lead to a breach of some information that is a threat to national security, then you're in trouble. So in order to cover your ass, you just classify everything. And the thing is that you don't know what might end up being important. Maybe, I mean, think about this. There's a document that says that CIA agent number 1032 enjoys tuna fish sandwiches, right? And it's like, okay, that there's no way that should be classified. But you could think of a way where maybe like that could be used by the enemy because now they know that he likes tuna fish sandwiches, so they could swap his sandwich with a different sandwich that's tuna, but actually it contains a drug and blah 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 blah. So they just
you know what classify. Else? Here's something that's classified that you wouldn't even think. That this is how fucking deep and ridiculous and clownish this actually is. Do you know that the President of the United States' bowel movements are classified?
Kind of makes sense.
Because, yeah, you as a biologist know, like, fecal swabs, you can tell a lot about someone's biology and physiology just from a freaking fecal swab. So literally what the Secret Service does is when the president is, like, overseas or anywhere not on American soil especially, when the president takes a shit, this really happens. You can look this up. There's a Secret Service agent that comes in right after them with one of those like pool cleaners nets, scoops their shit out of the toilet, puts it in a bag, and sends it to like a secured location to be incinerated.
I didn't know that was a thing.
The president's shit is literally national security level classified.
I mean, that's kind of cool. Yeah, so there's an issue in this country. Maybe there's some justification for it, but there is an issue in this country with just classifying fucking everything. So for all we know, the quote unquote classified documents that Trump had was like it was like, you know, he wrote in his journal one day. He was like, oh boy, you know, I was hanging out with I don't know, Kim Jong-un, and I noticed that he ate a fucking poppy seed bagel, and like for whatever reason, you could come up with a justification as to why that needs to be classified. So
why did you bring up Kim Jong-un? Because one of the things that they seized was literally a letter, like a diplomatic letter from Kim Jong-un to Donald Trump. Right,
yeah. So like. Just because the like even assuming because Trump has come out and he said no there were no classified documents, everything was unclassified, everything was above board. That's what Trump said, and it's he said she said because literally we are not allowed to see the evidence. But even if these items are classified, they could amount to just absolutely fucking nothing. He just jotted down on a scrap piece of paper one day, Kim Jong-un, I met with him, and he liked poppy seed bagels. That could be classified for whatever fucking reason. Yeah, this, like, when CNN says, oh, it's the nuclear codes, yeah, I'm not going to put money on that one. So yeah, I wanted to say
The government is so fucking convoluted. There's actual books written about this. Like, just the average American violates 3 federal laws per day, every day. And if you're in like a high security position, like a major business, like someone like Donald Trump before he was president, you're probably violating between 7 and 10 federal laws a day. And if you're the actual president, basically everything you do, if the right team of lawyers look at it and squint, technically constitutes a violation all the time. And that's why this fucking Rubicon has never been crossed before, and this is like an unprecedented moment in American history that's going to downward spiral to Banana Republic. Because technically, if you look back at any president, like, how much shit did Obama do? How much shit did Bush do? Like, the shit about them that came out that was a scandal that they didn't get charged for. You know why they weren't charged for it? Because every fucking politician knows if they pursued that and charged for it, it would lead to a downward spiral of Banana Republic, and that would just become the standard where every ex-president is now a de facto felon, period. Because the law is so convoluted, you are guaranteed to violate at least between 10 and 20 laws a day.
But Breaker, here's the thing. When it comes to Trump, we can go down this spiral because, remember, Trump is a really bad guy. So... look, it's okay if
Bush that killed millions of people and destabilized several fucking countries. Obama that killed millions of people and destabilized even more countries.
Breaker, do you know what's way worse? The number of hurt feelings due to the tweets of the Trump. Okay, do you know how many feelings he hurt?
Notoriously anti-war president that only launched one bomb against one guy. And it was an actual guy that America had been trying to kill for 20 years. You mean that?
Breaker, look. Okay, yes, loss of human life it's bad, okay? But hurting someone's feelings, that's unacceptable, all right? So, it makes sense that we descend into a banana republic in order to make sure that we fucking just get Trump, okay? It's all above board, I swear.
No one's going to want to be president. Now, whoever comes in next after this is going to want to be a dictator because they know the second they get out of freaking office, it's just going to be Banana Republic, kill him now mode.
Well, so this is the issue, right? The FBI it's under the executive branch, and yet the executive branch, the president, the head of the executive branch, for some fucking reason, does not have power over these other entities that are in the executive branch. These unelected entities. And for some godforsaken reason, they believe that the FBI, it's a staple of America. The CIA, it's a staple of America. Sure, we're unelected, but no, we're important for the system. No, fuck that. Fuck that shit. The entire point of the government is that you get elected. People had to choose to put you there. It's not supposed to be some sort of system where, you have the credentials, you went to Harvard, so therefore you can just be a head of the FBI for the rest of your life, even though the entirety of the American public fucking hates you. It's not supposed to be that sort of thing. But they believe that it ought be, because I guess that from the perspective of the deep state, the system of having a republic where you elect officials, it's far too chaotic, far too destabilizing. You have to have people that are in there for life, who can hold the steady hand and just guide America as it ought to be guided. You know what? Maybe that works okay in a monarchy, but it does not work that well in a faceless bureaucracy. That's fucking terrible. And it supports nothing but nepotism.
Well, the monarchy is necessarily going to have to come back now, because this downward spiral into the fucking toilet bowl, like, representative democracy is going to get to the point where it simply cannot work for the reasons I just said, because it's so corrupt and convoluted and bureaucratic that every single president guaranteed has violated a law that's worth the fucking death penalty, to be quite honest with you. Like, every single president
for the last 100 years at least, if not more. You could make arguments beyond that. But at least for the last 100 years has done something that warrants the freaking death penalty. They all have. And if it was pursued, the reason why no one pursued is because, well, what goes around comes around. The oldest fucking rule in the book. What goes around fucking comes around. And to close this out, because we've been talking about this same subject for a freaking hour now, so we need to transition to the next thing. The FBI specifically, I'll tell you something about that. The FBI is an emergency powers, quote-unquote, temporary organization that was founded back in the Johnny Bootlegger Prohibition days so that they would have the power to cross state lines and pursue people doing moonshine runs across state lines and have the legal power and standing to be able to do so. If any president, right now, Biden could do this. Could just rug pull the whole FBI and say, this no longer exists, cut the funding, switch off, everybody go home and get another fucking job. That could happen right now by signing one fucking piece of paper and the whole FBI vanishes overnight.
I would super duper support that. Yeah, we will move on in like 60 seconds. I just got to cover two extra little pieces of information. They're on the side. They're the sideshow of this. So number one, the judge who signed off on the warrant, that was Bruce Reinhardt. He worked as a federal prosecutor until January 1st, 2008. He was actually working against some of Epstein's employees, and then immediately he switched over and he started his own private law firm or whatever, and he became a defense attorney representing the employees of Epstein. So this included some of Epstein's pilots, a scheduler of Epstein, so I guess that means maybe a secretary of some sort, and a woman who may or may not have been basically a sex slave. So he was he started representing them. In 2008, he donated in total $2,000 to the Obama campaign, and in 2016. He donated $500 to Jeb Bush, because I guess he was a big fan of Jeb. So
you're low energy. You need to stand up more. You need to project more. You're low energy.
Well, no, because Jeb is clearly not low energy, because when you say his name,
please clap.
No, please. Yes, the guacamole merchant demands that you clap. Yeah, no, but
Biden actually had more gusto. He said, "Clap for that, you bastards."
Yeah. So this, I honestly, some people in the news cycle, they've been talking about this federal judge. Here's the thing: I actually think that that's actually a big nothing burger. It's really not that important to the story. That was the judge that just happened to be in the jurisdiction that they would have to go to in order to get the warrant. And yes, might he have been looking to get a fat load of cash by representing or defending some Epstein employees? Yeah, sure. But, shit happens. People are greedy. That's the way the system works. I actually don't think that that's much of anything. As far as I can tell, I could be wrong, but I don't think there's anything there. And then also, one guy, I guess he had heard what had happened. So once again, the raid happened on August 8th, and on August 11th, a guy named Ricky Schiffer, aged 42. He attempted to breach the FBI Cincinnati field office, and he went in with an AR-15 or something similar to an AR-15 and a nail gun, and he attempted to breach the offices, and then he didn't, and then he ran away, and he wound up in a cornfield, and then there was a 6-hour-long standoff between him and, I guess, law enforcement officers, and then he died. He was shot and killed. And that is all that happened to that story. So, not quite Civil War yet, but, you know what? I think that slowly but surely, progressively, we are getting closer to Civil War. The it's a lot of people have been waiting for the sequel to the first Civil War. First Civil War, very popular, a favorite of American historians, and so there has been a lot of demand for a sequel. And yeah, here's the good news, people. We might actually be getting closer and closer to getting one. Yeah, I think the sequel will be very updated. A lot of new cinematography, a lot of new technology, and I think it'll potentially be just a really fucking interesting sequel. Probably a lot of death and destruction too. We love that from war movies.
So much death and destruction. You're gonna die so much. You're gonna get tired of dying. Believe me. But I'll tell you something about that. You might not remember this. This was like a couple years ago now. But good old Vladimir Putin, Pooty Poot, as Bush called him. Boy Bush, not Daddy Bush. Putin actually said once, in a quasi-offhanded way, that if a civil war broke out in America, that Putin would send in the Russian military to fight alongside the American citizens against the government. So if a civil war does break out, I guarantee you it's not just Putin. He just said it out loud. But there's a bunch of other foreign governments that see American destabilization of that level happening, and they're all just going to swoop in. They're going to put on like American flag T-shirts and redneck beer hats and carry AR-15s that they probably got from some desert people, because we know where those guns end up. And they're going to come in looking like Americans superficially, but with conspicuous Russian accents. But we're all American, right? And they're just going to be fighting alongside the rednecks.
No, it would 100% end up being a proxy war, where basically you would have some nations coming in and sending troops to support like the American populace, and then like I think China would definitely send troops in to support the government, because it would be the Democrats that would be holding on to the government at that point if there was a civil war.
So now the third world proxy war bullshit comes to the doorstep of the first world.
Nice.
What goes around comes around, motherfucker. What goes around fucking comes around.
How the turntables have rotated. Okay, so anyway, that was I think that's. For now, I'm sure that this story will continue to develop, and in future shows we will have more to say about this. But I think that for now we've pretty much gone over what is known and what we can discuss about that. So, that took more than an hour.
Over an hour.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's you know what? To be fair, it's a big fucking story. So. There's a lot to say about it.
Harry, I need human liberty. I'm here. I'm ready. I'll eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. God told me to destroy you, so globalists. Yes, sir, Jesus. I will do it.
What was that? It was a famous quote from Alex Jones, who's like, I forget how it went, but it was like, "I'm a man. I eat meat." Do you know that one?
Okay, let's see if I can remember that. I'm alive. I'm a human. I'm an explorer. I'm a pioneer. And I'm coming. I hold the force. This is a human. This is what we look like. This is what we act like. This is what I am. I'm a throwback. I'm a fan of human liberty. I'm setting fires everywhere, and humans are turning on all over this earth. I like to fight. I like to eat. I like to have children. I'm here. I'm ready.
You know what? Goosebumps. Fucking goosebumps. I love Alex Jones. Like him or hate him, he is the just the memeiest. He's great. Okay, so in the second story, and I think that this one has kind of gone a little bit under the rug because everyone's been focusing on the whole Trump thing. But this one is actually potentially more important just because of the impact that it will have on Americans, right?
Here comes the tax man. Get ready for the tax man, but now with an M16.
That's right. We might be looking at armed IRS agent death squads marching through the streets.
You know who those employees are going to be? It's going to be the fucking blue hair and lesbian dance studying underwater intersectional queer backgammon college degree motherfuckers. That's the motherfuckers they're going to get to do this. It's only going to be Antifa, but with government powers.
Well, here's the thing. What I heard is that these IRS agents that are going to be given weapons so that they can go door to door. They want to look inconspicuous, right? So what I heard is that they'll actually be dressing up to look similar to UPS drivers, to make them look like they're just like someone delivering a package, and so they're going to be wearing a brown uniform, right? In fact, actually, they'll be wearing brown shirts, right? And in fact, we could maybe we could call them the brown shirts. I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Okay, if you see like a really fat neck-bearded guy with fucked up eyes and crooked teeth that looks conspicuously like the Reddit moderator meme squad faces with the giant gaping mouth and the huge conspicuous smile that smells suspiciously like 3 different brands of Axe body spray covering up a massive fucking open sewer of garbage and rotten meat coming towards you. Run!
Lock your door. So, what was passed this previous week was the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, this sounds good. This sounds amazing. Oh my God.
We're going to reduce inflation. Oh my God, it's a miracle. Thanks, Biden. Team Biden. I'm right with Biden. Let's go, Brandon.
Yes. As a side note, did you see some of the memes that came out, the punished Biden memes where he has like the laser eyes and
oh, the dark Biden, the
right.
malarkey will end. And you know one of those memes that has a frickin' Reich eagle behind him? You know what? I guarantee you the person making that meme didn't realize it, but that is bizarrely accurate.
Yeah, absolutely. So
he even has literal brown shorts. You cannot make this up. This is literal meme magic coming to life. Magic is real. Believe in the memes.
See, right. The thing is that meme magic is real. Just like Israel is real. And it got us.
It's in the name. It says Israel.
It's real. But meme magic, it got us Trump in 2016, and then you know what? Here's the thing. It's not that anything went wrong with the election. It wasn't an issue with fortification. It was an issue with the people not channeling the energy of Pepe enough. But you know what? It's coming back. I can feel the meme energy coming back. It's back. It's coming. It's getting stronger, and I look forward to the future. But
this is why I'm a meta-modernist, because the meme magic has always been there. Remember Spaceballs? Remember when they were talking about the Schwartz? There's an upside and a downside to every Schwartz. There's a light side and a dark side to every magic incantation, including the meme magic that brought us Trump. Now we're getting the downside where we got dark Trump. Now we have dark Biden.
Yes. So, all right. Anyway, we got the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, just right off the bat, I want to point out that the more or less nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office came out and said that the Inflation Reduction Act would have, quote, no statistically significant effect on inflation. So, that's just a quick introduction to the bill. Basically, what this is a while ago, Biden kind of got this bill called the Build Back Better Act into Congress. Now, it passed through the House because, well, the House is mostly Democrat, and so it went through the House. And then the Senate said, fuck no. And the original Build Back Better Act was going to be $3.5 trillion. During the negotiation phase of this bill, they brought of the Build Back Better Act, they brought it down to 2.2, and then it went to the Senate, and then they said fuck off, and then that was it. So the Build Back Better Act died, but it was revived, and it was reintroduced. So it went from 3.5 trillion to 2.2 trillion, and now it's actually only 739 billion. And it's basically it's like a bastard child of the Build Back Better Act and neoliberal bureaucratic negotiations, right? So you know that this is going to be fucking high quality. So on the top of the docket, I think the most interesting thing is that they're going to be really fucking bolstering the IRS. They're going to introduce 87,000 new tax agents, some of which will be armed and will be authorized to use deadly force if necessary. So yeah, let's talk about that one for a second, Breaker. What do you think about this 87,000 strong militia of IRS tax agents being introduced to the American public?
Come on, man. America. I am cold through all the plains. No one walks where I walk. No one sees where I see. With my legion of soy faces, I know all and see all. I'm coming for you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know the thing. Ah!
Yeah, so they said in the bill that, look, they're only going to be going after people who make more than $400,000 a year. That's what they always say, mind you. I can just about guarantee you that you don't need 87,000 armed IRS agents to go after a few millionaires and billionaires. By the way,
87,000 armed agents is more than the number of police officers in the entire country.
Right? Yeah. No. Actually, this is going to make the IRS bigger than the fucking than the DOJ or and everyone that works at the Pentagon, like, combined. It's an insane amount of manpower.
Now this is like, I know what this is. This is Biden shit. This is exactly what Obama did. You remember the Tea Party back in the financial collapse post-2008 era? Remember those Tea Party quasi-libertarian boomers that dressed up as frickin' 1776 triangle hat looking motherfuckers? You remember what Obama did?
The IRS fucking went after those. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what does this sound like to you? It sounds like just history repeating itself. If anything, it was Obama himself that just called up Biden and said, look, you remember what I did back to the Tea Party, Biden? Look, you have to do that, but you have to supercharge it. Look, you have to pour even more money into it. Turn the money printer on and leave it on overnight so that the burring wakes up every single member of the White House. They can hear the burring from across the street in the Federal Reserve. And you print all that money. Look, this is for America. You don't own that. Someone else owns that. Remember, I'm Obama. You all love me. I'm the magic black man. If you don't vote for me, you're racist.
So... yeah, they went after the IRS. Actually, it was shown, basically provably, that the IRS was targeting the Tea Party specifically.
Yes.
On political grounds, essentially.
But now they're targeting every single person who's ever gave Trump money in any capacity, and every single person who voted for Trump, because,
You remember all those perfectly legitimate mail-in ballots that totally fortified and
yes.
100% legitimate election that was completely 100% above board, if you remember that.
Very good. Very good election. The best election.
Yeah, you think they didn't, for security purposes, mind you, I hand a couple of them ballots over to certain agencies and just dust for prints. And you know what else has your fingerprints? If you ever have your fingerprint lock on your phone, you think they're going to call up Google and say, it's like, hey, we know you got those fingerprints. Give me those fingerprints or you're being audited with our army of tax representatives. This is an angle that no one's talked about. Like, all these tax people, I don't think most of them are for, like, most, like, average Americans. I think there is an element of truth to the people that make over 400,000, because who are the people that make over 400,000? Well, it's going to be big tech companies. And what do big tech companies have? More so than arguably even the government itself?
Information.
Data. Yeah, information about billions of people around the world, not just Americans. So the government is going to march over to Silicon Valley with like 10,000 IRS agents for Google, 10,000 for Facebook, 10,000 for fucking Reddit, 10,000 for Patreon, and they're just going to walk up to their door and say, okay, look, give us the shit or we're auditing you back to the fucking Stone Age.
Well, that very well could be what happens. Maybe this is the U.S. government trying to do a hostile takeover of big tech. But here's the point that I really want to drive home. Look, the armed IRS agents. Okay, that's not a thing for going up against millionaires, right? Millionaires, generally speaking, are smart enough, they know the law well enough, and they know, like, tax codes well enough, that they don't need to be threatened at gunpoint. They need to be threatened with legal action, okay? When you're talking about armed IRS agents, okay, that screams to me as a specifically something that is threatening to, I guess, your middle income individual in American citizen, right?
The armed ones are for the Johnny Redneck motherfuckers that are going to shoot back with their grandpappy shotgun. That's who they're for. Now, the cream of the crop motherfuckers, they're just going to go around to all the tech companies and be like, okay, you know that thing where we expanded the IRS bigger than the whole collective police force of fucking America itself? Yeah, fork over all your fucking data, or we're going to audit you until you're all bankrupt. Fuck you. And then we're going to seize all your fucking assets and just absorb you anyway. So double eat shit.
Because the IRS goon squads are coming for you. This is just
the Reddit moderators that you trusted with all your moderation and all of your cheese pizza consuming on all your fucking bullshit deep web crap and your DMs between cheese pizza enjoyers. Yeah, all those motherfuckers and all those fucking Google Drives that the government itself uses. You know that the government actually uses Google Drives for certain shit? I was stunned when I figured this out. Like, they're going to go to Google and they're going to do a Mar-a-Lago on Google itself. And they're going to say, hey, Google Drive, Trump and a bunch of other politicians are all using Google Drive. And hey, there's classified information in the Google servers. We need to look through all of them.
Oh my God, you're right. It's I don't know if honeypot is exactly the correct term, but it's like, holy shit. Like, if the government just uses Google Docs to store classified information, then the government can turn around and go, ha ha ha, Google, now all of your servers are ours.
All your servers belong to us.
Yeah, exactly. So
magic is real.
Yeah. I mean, fucking A. I think it might be. So anyway, look. They don't need to basically like more than double the size of their organization in order to go after millionaires and the billionaires, because the way that you go after those people is with lawyers. You don't go after them with IRS agents.
You think a few thousand of those IRS agents are going to be lawyers too? How many skyscrapers of private, like, tax lawyers for all these big tech companies and other major conglomerates with a bunch of other people's data? How many of those do you think have and can hire the same number of lawyers that as quickly as the government can?
Well, the government can always hire more lawyers.
Yeah. And they decide it's like, hey, what we need is like 87,000. We just need to tip the scale slightly more in our direction than the corporation's direction and stop playing this fucking bullshit shell game. We need like absolute, naked, merciless force, as Planet of the Apes said.
Well, right. So I think that although the bill says that there's not going to be audits on people who make less than $400K a year, and your taxes won't increase. The fact of the matter is that in my belief, Americans, your average lower or middle class Americans, they will be paying more taxes because the man with the gun is going to make you pay more taxes. They don't have to increase your tax rate. They don't have to sign a bill and says, oh yeah, the tax rate is going from 4.7 on this particular thing to 4.9. No, you will be paying more taxes, and they don't have to fucking sign a goddamn bill to do anything. Because look, there's now a guy with a gun at your house. You will be paying more taxes. That's how I envision this occurring.
Remember what we talked about on the last show? Like a major component of this is a theory I got from Halsey English over on Blue State Survivalist, so I have to shout out Halsey on Blue State Survivalist. Go like and subscribe him too. And while you're liking and subscribing, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon on the Promethean Tides channel. Every time you do, it's well, I don't know what it is at this point. We're basically all fucked, but it'll make you feel better inside, I promise. You're going to get so many quality content. You're going to get so many videos. You're going to love it. They're all going to be terrific. Nice. Believe me. My wonderful, soothing voice is going to lull you to sleep at night. While you're on the road driving, while you're washing your dishes in the background, you can listen to my crappy Trump impression. You're going to love it. Yeah, realistically, that's what most people are probably fucking doing right now. But there's some guy that's actually literally, or girl, that's literally doing that thing right now when I said that, and their head popped up like, whoa, that's like so meta. It's like a fourth wall break. But anyway, this is like the armed IRS agent motherfuckers. That's like a clandestine through the backdoor gun grab, because they already have the ATF's list of all like above board gun owners. So they're going to be heading straight towards their door first. They're going to pull out any convoluted bullshit in the tax code. Just like, hey, you're going to be audited, and even if they won't directly ask you for the guns. What they'll probably do is be like, well, guns are property and they're worth money, and like, hey, we've got these gun buyback programs. If you want to pay all of these legal fees and fines and IRS liens and penalties, one thing you could do really quick is this gun buyback program. And hey, it just turns out that we're going to raise the price of buying back one of your guns to the exact amount that you need to pay off all these bullshit taxes that we've leaned against you.
What a deal!
Yeah, exactly. It's almost as though this was entirely engineered to happen, but now that couldn't be the case. This is just a coincidence that the amount that you now get for one of your guns is the amount you need to pay the taxes.
Oh, wow. It turns out that you owe $11,000 to the government. I noticed that you have an M what would be you have an M1
Star 15.
No, you have an M1 Grand, and for whatever reason, we've valued this at precisely $11,000. Look at that! Wow,
isn't that strange?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, all taxes forgiven if you just hand that little puppy over.
So either you can drown in tax debt, or you could just like sell that gun at this completely for your safety and the safety of the community gun buyback program that just turns out to be the exact amount of money you need to pay these taxes.
So of course this is purely speculation. This is not.
This is speculation. None of this is fact. Don't believe us. Whatever you do, this is for entertainment purposes only.
Yes, none of this is outlined in the bill. It's just a hypothesis of something that could theoretically happen. Or they could go, we've audited you. We've looked at all of these documents, and it turns out that your signature was just slightly smudged on this third page of this triplicate form that you signed 15 years ago for the receipt of this gun, and we've determined that you're not allowed to own this. So. The
government kind of got a bit trolled when they tried to do that, because you remember that gun buyback thing where that guy just made a bunch of 3D printed single shot pistols and was like, hey, these are technically firearms that I made in my basement with a 3D printer, some resin, and a pipe I got from Home Depot, but it will hold a single bullet and fire it, so technically it's a firearm. So $300 a piece for these guns. It costed me like $100 and a weekend worth of wasted time to make.
Well, here's the thing, right? This is amongst many things. This is one thing that I think makes America just foundationally better than Australia, because they did the gun buyback program in Australia and they just gave away their fucking guns. Because I don't know. I guess the Australians, they trust their government, very European in that fashion. The Americans, I don't think that they would go along with such a program as easily. I think that they would need a lot more coercion to give up their guns. They won't just go.
And another thing about America is, because America has this like super permeation of con artistry and confidence tricksters every frickin' where, at every level, both high and low. Like, con artistry, snake oil salesman, and flim-flammery is like one of the staples of America. It's one of the things that won the West that history doesn't officially tell you out loud. But if you read between the lines, that's the quiet part of history, is all the fucking backdoor deals and con artists and smiling Cheshire Cat used car salesmen. That's the fundamental engine of America at the end of the day. So when you do like a gun buyback program, of course there's going to be a frickin' con artist that just makes a bunch of resin 3D printed guns in his frickin' basement over the weekend and rakes in $3,000 for what it only costed him a few $100s and wasted time to do. Whereas Australians, they don't have that deep history. So, paradoxically enough, because they were a prison colony, you would think criminality would run a lot deeper in Australia, but apparently they're just collectivist government, trust the government, man, because look, the Queen of England's face is on our money. The Queen is good because that represents the values of our... Like, England are like ultimate transcendental ancient blood and soil level fucking boomers. They're magnitude. All the fucking Anglos, if they see the Queen of England on their fucking money, they're just like, government good because it's got the Queen on it, and the Queen is good, mate.
That is an unfortunate thing about the Anglosphere. Luckily, we Americans, we don't worship the Queen, but Canada, Britain, Australia, she's like Mecca. 6 times a day, whenever they hear the big bong, they have to sit down and pray in her general direction.
Whenever the Queen of England talks about matters of politics, she always refers to the government as my government. If you listen to a speech by the royal family, like, it's the Queen that gives them these days, but this is like a really old thing in England. But she always refers to the government as my government. That's the word she uses.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is hers, technically speaking.
Yes, it is. The land, she owns Australia and Canada.
In theory, she could never sell it, but technically, yeah, she does kind of own it. Okay, so that was the most colorful aspect of the Inflation Reduction Act.
Here's a funny thing. Since we're talking about the Anglosphere, here's one like less funny thing about taxes in Canada, England, Australia, like any of these Anglosphere old empire lands of the British Empire. Here's a funny thing that happens when you don't pay your taxes. I heard this from a Canadian guy. Now, I think it was his father was like behind on his taxes for like nearly 10 years. And eventually he just gets a letter in the mail, and it has the seal of the royal family on it. like with the actual wax seal with the signet ring of the Queen herself embossed on it. So the actual Queen of England's hands touched this letter. And the letter literally said, by order of Her Majesty the Queen, the money that you owe us has been politely removed from your bank account. Have a good day. And he checked his bank account, and all the tax money he owed was not only gone, but he owed the bank. He was in the negative. He owed the bank back the rest of it.
Oh.
So the government just said, hey, that's my money. Fuck you. Gives me that. And they just took it.
Isn't that nice? Okay, so right, the 87,000 Legion strong goon squad IRS agents are coming to America. Thank God. Yeah, we certainly needed them. I can't wait to make sure that the government is breathing down my neck to ensure that I pay every single fucking cent that I owe the government, which I'm sure will do just amazing, brilliant things with my tax money. They're always doing wise and thoughtful things with the dollars of the American citizens every time. But the bill doesn't just do that; it does a few other things. So, on the, I guess, sort of good side of things, kind of good. So it does support the maintenance of nuclear power plants up until, I believe, about 2030. It's not going to build any new nuclear power plants, so it's kind of just, status quo. Just keep everything going as it's going. I would very much be in favor of building new nuclear power plants. I think that is a fantastic way to become energy independent and do so in a very green way so that we can make everyone happy. But no, this just, well, look, it keeps them funded, it keeps them going, so at least there's that. Although, look, if it weren't for this bill, they would have been funded anyway, so I'm not going to really give this bill any fucking credit for that. They just happen to include the continuation of the funding of the existing nuclear power plants in this particular bill. I'm not giving this bill credit for that, but it does do that, so alright, cool. And also it's gonna, they are going to spend $300 billion to reduce the deficit. So we can all ponder that for a second. Okay, why is it that the government is spending $300 billion to reduce the deficit of the government? It sounds silly at face value, but it actually does make sense. So imagine that you have some credit card debt. Turns out that America has a lot of credit card debt, especially to China. And that debt is, we have to pay massive interest on it, right? So if we pay it down now, we don't have to pay as much interest in the future. Like how if you pay off your credit card debt now, you actually save money. So you spend money now to save money later. And I guess that is what they're attempting to do. They're going to spend $300 billion reducing some of our foreign debts so that we stop paying interest on it, so that in the long run, we actually save some money and reduce the deficit. That, overall, is actually something that I can get behind. I think that actually the best thing that America could do is try to pay off all of its debts, and then after we've done that, just stop taxing people. Like, reduce taxation down to like 10% of what it currently is, have a very tiny government, and just leave it at that. And just focus inwards. You know, maybe we don't have to be the world police of fucking everything. America first. Let's fucking go. And let's see. Also, they want to implement a 15% tax on corporations making more than $1 billion per year. Oh boy, of all of the policies that are going to do something, I think that this is going to do the least amount of somethings.
Yeah, why don't you make our prices go up even faster than the inflation that you fucking caused did? Like, why don't you just like quadruple down on the fucking phony money inflation that you caused to fucking begin with by making the prices go up even more by making all these corporations offset that fucking tax to the fucking products they sell to the fucking consumer, make everyone's prices go up in conjunction with the inflation to where it's like super mega ultra caffeinated inflation, hyperinflation on fucking cocaine.
Now, see, here's the thing, right? I don't know this aspect of the bill, but I assume that this 15% tax is going to be on profits rather than revenue, because it wouldn't make any sense to suddenly go after just pure revenue, right? It's a really bad idea to go after revenue. You go after profits, right? Now, here's the thing. The government tomorrow can come out and say that they're going to do a 99% tax on corporations, on big corporations. And they could totally do that, right? And by the way, I don't think that it would actually increase the amount of taxes that we get from corporations by that much, because this is what corporations do. They understand that their profits are taxed, right? But their revenue is not. So what every large corporation does is they make sure that they basically never make a profit, right? Amazon is a fantastic example of this. Every time that they make money, they take that money and they reinvest it into their corporation, right? So it would be like if, let's say that you owned, I don't know, like a small corner store, right? And let's say that someone, buys some beer from you, and it costs you $10 to buy the beer, and you sell it for $20, right? So now you have a $10 profit. Well, what do you do with that $10? Well, maybe you use that $10 to buy a couple new light bulbs for your store. Maybe if you get enough money, maybe you get a few $1,000s, you remodel your store. Maybe you get enough money, you move into a new location, right? You are incentivized to always spend the amount of money that you make, so that you're never actually making a profit. All of the money is just going back into your business to further grow your business, and you are never actually making a profit. This is what every corporation does. So it doesn't matter if you tack on an extra 15%. It doesn't matter how much money you tax the corporations. The fact of the matter is that their goal, because of the American tax system, is to never make a profit, and so you can never actually tax them. And I don't know this for a fact. I can only assume that this 15% is on profits, because if it's on revenue, that would be insane. That wouldn't make any sense, and that would legitimately destabilize a lot of these corporations and also the American economic system, and it would cause the price of goods to rise significantly, and also the wage of Americans to lower significantly. And so I can just predict, I hope, that this isn't doing that, that it's actually going after profits, which means that it does absolutely fucking zilch jack squat. It doesn't matter. It's literally just a Democrat pandering point so that they can say, yeah, we raise taxes on corporations. But it doesn't do anything. Literally, it doesn't.
Yeah, this is why I keep telling everyone I prefer an actual monarchy, and this is one of the main reasons why. Because we technically just have a de facto monarchy right now, but you don't know exactly who they are, or you don't even know if it's concentrated all in one person's hand, which it's probably not. It's probably disseminated amongst a bunch of those billionaires/trillionaires that you either don't know the name of at all or hear about very rarely. Only rarely in the news do these people come up. And when they come up in the news, it's some curated article that said Warren Buffett or Ted Turner or so-and-so did this weird eccentric thing. Aren't rich people weird? Herp, derp, derp. That's usually most of the things you hear about them from like mainstream news, if you've ever noticed. And all of this is just incestuous relationship between the political class and the donor class. And there is this type of weird, quasi-transcendental monarchic force that I don't even think is personified with a single individual or even a group of like quote-unquote elite cabal, Illuminati, Freemason, blah blah blah, like all the freaking conspiracy theories say. I don't even think it's that. I just think the fucking, like, the energy that surrounds this tornado of incestuous crap between the political class and the donor class, sort of like the ending of Metal Gear Solid 2, the White House acted as our primordial soup, a basis for evolution. I think it's actually something like that, but in Metal Gear Solid 2, it was personified in the form of an AI, so that it could actually talk to the protagonist and have the famous speech at the end of the game. But I think something like that really does exist. But it's not a personification. It's not something that could talk to you and explain this. It's just this conglomeration of emergent properties of these elite people and their black tornado of, like, money goes to one hand, then goes back to the hand. They just keep juggling these little bags of money between the political donor class and the political elite ruling class. And that's all that ever fucking happens. And they're doing that so often that they're all of the Machiavellian philosophy, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. That's why all this is articulated this way, to stop, like, as many entrepreneurs and bottom-up businesses from rising. That's why Walmart takes over every single fucking town. That's why Amazon is the $1 trillion global corporation. Like, that's the devil they know. That's the political donor that's always going to give money to the freaking political class, no matter what mask it has on today, behind the fucking zombified corpse that's behind that fucking mask, a dead, rotting, blowfly-infested, maggot-ridden fucking corpse. That is the actual dead God. God is, in fact, dead, and the powers of God are just this tornado of fucking blowflies with their little wings flapping, causing this explosion of butterfly effects, and there's no person actually in control of it. That's why I don't have conspiracy theories, I have competitive theories. It's all just proxy. All the power is proximal. And when the tornado stops, the dead god truly vanishes and becomes a god of the true abyss and is never seen again. And then all this shit starts from the bottom up all over again like fucking Babylon until it gets to this point again and happens all over fucking again.
Breaker, you and I, we need to have like a deep dive into my god versus your god. I think that would be a fantastic discussion.
This is your god, but this is the stinking, rotted corpse of the fucking nature god. This isn't a god of replication. This is a Faustian eternal god, but nothing in the universe is truly eternal. Everything dies. The corpse is already dead. It's just the fucking solar anus. It's all the flies around the pile of solar fucking shit.
But see, here's the thing. My god could never become the rotting god because it's not possible for mankind to defeat my god. My god is too powerful.
That's why your god is just like, fuck it, back to square one. I guess that species is extinct. Better luck with the bonobos or whoever comes up again.
Yeah. True. My god will always survive. It's just a question of whether mankind will survive my god.
Hey, I hear squids and ravens are really smart. Maybe next time I'll have like a species war between two intelligent species, the squids and the ravens, and they could have this massive futuristic sci-fi war of like raven terminators and squid drones.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I can't wait for the war between the octopuses, the crows, the dolphins, and the elephants.
And the elephants. Yeah, the elephants. Yeah, the good old pachyderms.
Yeah.
Like, hey, pachyderms have the burgeoning of religion. Ravens are really smart in using tools. Octopuses can climb out of their frickin' water, go to another tank of water, pick up a piece of food, climb out of that tank, back into their own tank, and eat the food before the scientists even notice it. And that's pretty smart.
And dolphins are just fucking psychopaths who love to rape. So that's gonna be a fucking excellent war. Someone should write like a sci-fi book about that when like humans have gone extinct, and so like the other like smartest animals, they all have to like become super smart all at the same time, and then there's an interspecies like global war. Oh man, that'd be such a
There's
cool book.
there's something about mammals that no other intelligent species, non-mammalian species seems to have. Mammals, you'll notice when they reach a certain level of intelligence. I don't know to the extent elephants do this. I think elephants might actually be the OG true hippie of nature that doesn't really fuck around with all this Faustian quasi-satanic shit the way that fucking dolphins and humans and all the various primates do.
Well,
There's
because
something about
the
intelligent
elephant-
mammals.
The elephant is the only obligate herbivore in that thing. So of course it's more
yeah.
of a hippie. It literally eats grass.
It's literally vegan.
Yes, it is.
Vegan Gaines was right. Vegans will inherit the earth, but it won't be humans because humans are omnivores. It'll be the elephants, the true OG vegan.
Actually, you know what? If you think about it, like here's the thing. Take the strongest man on the entire planet and take like the most pussy elephant. The most pussy elephant is still way stronger than the strongest man, and that elephant is a vegan. So I'm just saying, well, shit, maybe the vegans are onto something. You can,
but consider the finer points of the point I'm making with this, like the intelligent mammals that are either omnivorous or obligate carnivores, God fucking forbid. But there's something about that level of intelligence, and you'll see this with a lot of intelligent mammals, that they get into this point of like Dionysian excess. Even fucking dolphins do this, like you were talking about, like the rape and killing of porpoises just because porpoises have a big, ugly, stupid head and I hate them. So let's just kill the porpoise
they
for
do.
fun.
To be fair,
Dolphins
they
really
do.
commit murder.
They do have a very ugly,
Yeah.
stupid head. It's true.
Fuck you, porpoise! I fucking hate you! Well, what? The porpoise is like, what did I do? I'm not competing with food. I'm not fucking with you. What the fuck did I do? The dolphin's like, I hate your face because I'm an underwater racist and I want to kill you.
So, with that, I think that
Underwater racist.
I think I think that is just the best place to leave the show. We will be doing an after show. We're going to be having Jesus on. He this is going to be his third time that he's been on. We always love having him, so he'll be on for the after show. We'll be discussing, I guess, in part more of what we discussed here on this show, maybe a little bit more loosey-goosey, maybe a little bit more jokes. We'll also cover the Salam Rushdie stabbing that occurred, and I don't know, maybe some other random bullshit. But with that, if you got this far into the episode, god damn it, we appreciate you. I guess if you happen to feel like it, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. It does help us out. We very much appreciate it. And with that, Breaker, you have anything else that you want to say?
Salami steakums. Good. 100% halal meat.
All right. Peace out, everyone.